You probably said it before. Look, I ran the numbers. I should be fine. But what if that math that you're relying on isn't telling you the entire story? Today, we're going to talk about that. We're going to unpack some of the most common examples of the fuzzy retirement math that people do and how to make sure you spot that fuzzy math before they cause some real problems.
Welcome to the My Retirement Clarity Podcast, where our goal is simple, to help you close the gap between what you know and what you implement. The team at Perkins Wealth Management does this by helping good people make great decisions so they can enjoy an amazing retirement. And now, here's your host and financial advisor, Lee Perkins.
Welcome in. This is My Retirement Clarity. Glad to have you on the show once more. I'm Ben George with Lee Perkins, owner and financial advisor at J.L. Perkins Wealth Management. What's happening, Lee?
Not a whole lot, man. We're just rocking and rolling. A lot of activity in the office. Had several workshops recently that have been well attended, and I think people are really looking not only for information, but looking to implement things to move the needle in their situation.
Yeah, you've had a pretty busy, maybe some people listening to this are going to one of your workshops that are happening right now, but I know you'll have more coming up too, right? And all that information can be found on the website. What all do you cover in these workshops for people that are interested?
We're trying to do the same thing every time, and we're covering taxes, because as you know, that's a big topic of what we do here in our office. Taxes, money, and then of course time, which, a theme on our show here is your time is more valuable than your money. And so we kind of reiterate that and hit on that. So it's an eye-opening experience for everybody that wants to attend. And yeah, like you said, folks can just go to our website if they're interested, and they can click there and Jessica will reach out to you. So it's a lot of fun. We've enjoyed doing it.
Yeah, go to myretirementclarity.com. But if you just want to schedule a meeting with Lee and discuss some of these things we talk about today and just get your planning in order, make sure you're covering some of these things, make sure you know the exact steps to take to make sure you reach your retirement goals, you can go to talkwithjlp.com. So again, we're talking about some of the fuzzy math. Again, these are some statements some people might say or some ideas people might have about retirement that maybe aren't just as accurate as they believe. So I'm going to throw you the statement, Lee, and let you kind of explain why the math might not be working out for these.
Okay, sounds good.
Number one here, the mutual funds I've been invested in have averaged about 7% annual growth for the last 5 years, and I'm perfectly happy with that return moving forward. So yeah, I mean, returns have been good here recently, Lee, but why can you maybe not count on that moving forward?
Yeah, well, the whole term averaged 7% or averaged 5% or averaged 10%, whatever it is, that is math, but man, you got to be careful and make sure you're applying that to your situation in the right way, because all 7% are not created equal. You may be able to weather the storm of a 7% average, but if your money went up 14% and then went down 7%, well, you're probably going to average 7%. But if you're taking money out and the money's going down, it can really wreak havoc on your investments. And so you just have to make sure that you're not putting your information into a spreadsheet. And a lot of people do this. They'll put everything into a spreadsheet, put a 7% return, and just show that over and over. And I'm telling you, you never have any problems at all with just steady growth like that. But that's not how the market works, because the market is up 10, it's up 18, it's down 20, then it's at 0, and it's down 5, and then it's up 12. So it's not a linear return. And I even tell people when they come into our office that the least accurate number that we're going to provide for them is a projection of what their assets are going to do over time. We are forced to put in a return number, but the softwares can't project it. So we use a very, very low return, and that way we're not skewed by a quote higher average return. So just be careful when you're thinking, hey, I just need to average 7%, because that can get you in trouble.
Yeah. And on the other side of that, the withdrawals, another percentage people always kind of point to is that 4%, right? I can take 4% out of my portfolio every year, and I'm not going to run out of money. So I just can follow that rule and should be safe. But I guess that's similar to this other 7%, right?
Yeah, so that's kind of one of the rules of thumbs that we've talked about on this show several times before. Is it a bad rule? Nope. Is it a good rule? Nope. The key word there is you should be okay. If the market goes down a few years in a row and you're still taking out 4% every year, well, again, that can go sideways on you too. And just because your account returns more than 4% one year doesn't mean you necessarily have to take more money. I'm all about somebody taking what they need, and then let's make adjustments depending on what happens in the market. But I think it's a little short-sighted to just say, yeah, I want to take out 4% because some mathematician somewhere did a bunch of studies. And that study is re-released every few years. I think, 6 or 7 years ago, the percentage, the safe withdrawals percentage was like 3.2. Now it's up maybe a little bit more than 4. Just make sure you work with somebody that knows what they're doing before you put your foot in the sand and say, hey, this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life, because things change and you got to be able to be flexible in your plan.
Mm-hmm. Flexibility is the key. All right. What about the idea in retirement that you can live off dividends? I know this is a popular strategy for some people. They think, hey, I don't have to touch the principal. I can just live off the dividends from my income in retirement and should be safe. Does that approach work? Is that consistent?
Right. So I'm going to kind of go in 2 areas here.
Okay.
When talking about living off dividends and living off the principal. Living off the interest. 9 times out of 10, when somebody kind of tells me this statements right here of what they want to do, 9 times out of 10, they're saying, hey, I just want to live off the interest and never touch the principal. And my response back to them was, okay, that's fine and dandy, but what if there's no interest? Because like I just said, the market is up and down. And if, to make the math easy, if you got $1 million and your account goes up 3% one year, well, the interest, the quote interest is $30,000. Is that enough for you? I don't know if it is or not. Let's say the next year it goes up 10%. Well, that's $100,000. Well, can you live on $100,000 or $30,000? Do you want that much swing in your life? Probably not really. But if we're talking about dividends, and a lot of people will implement this strategy, it's not a bad strategy. It's probably a little bit better strategy than just living off the quote interest, because dividends are generally going to be predictable, but they're not guaranteed, because some companies will cut dividends depending on what's going on in their company. Different companies pay dividends at different frequencies. And so if you just take all your things and have all of the companies send you dividends rather than reinvesting it, well, you might get $1,000 this month, $1,700 next month, $2,500 the next month, $800 the next month. So That's not, you want predictable income and something that is consistent income, and dividends like that, they're just not that predictable.
Not predictable enough to rely on. Again, you want to build a strategy. If you want to sit down and determine how you're going to come up with that income in retirement, always go to talkwithjlp.com to book a time on Lee's calendar, sit down and discuss these things.
Hey folks, Lee Perkins here. I wanted to tell you about our brand new book called Next Phase, How to Retire in a Year or Less Without Regrets. It's all about helping you prepare for the next phase of your life, whatever that looks like for you. So, if you're ready to make the most of your next phase, or if you're already retired and aren't sure you're doing all you can to get the most out of your retirement, then you'll want a copy of this book. All you have to do is text Next Phase to 478-475-2050, and we'll send you a copy right away. You can also access additional resources and register for one of our upcoming workshops at our website, www.myretirementclarity.com. Thanks for listening. Now back to the show.
And another kind of idea in retirement is that you're going to spend less. Makes sense on the surface because you're not going to be going to work every day. You won't be spending a lot of money on gas, new clothes, maybe eating out. A lot of expenses day to day might go away, but does that mean you're saving money, Lee?
Yeah, I don't think so at all, because just, people say, hey, I'm not going to be driving to work every day. I don't have to buy new clothes. But here's the thing. Everybody tells me when you retire, every day is a Saturday, all right? So it just is. And you think about your life right now. What day do you spend most of your money? At least for me, I spend most money on a Saturday and Sundays because I don't have the obligation of being inside the walls of an office.
Yep.
So I can go out and do whatever it is that I want to do. The other thing is, I don't want somebody to retire and just sit at home and not spend any money. That's not retirement to me. If you're going to retire, I want you to figure out what you want to do, and I think you need to spend money. Take trips, bless other people with your money and your time and those kind of things. Kids, grandkids, spend money doing that. Don't just retire and say, hey, I'm going to sit at home and not spend any money because I don't have any income coming in. That's no way to do it. Give yourself permission to spend money. And going back to, one of the things that I mentioned at the beginning of this episode was one of the themes of our workshop is, man, I really want to give our clients permission to spend their money. And we prove that with the math, the good math on how much they can spend. And because far too often people come in and the first question I ask is, what's the purpose of the money? And if they really don't need the money, they're like, I don't know, I just want to be there just in case. And then what happens is they just let that money sit there and watch it grow and watch it grow. And then all of a sudden, they wake up and they're 79, 80 years old. They're not able to do the things that they could do when they were in their early 60s, and they never got to enjoy the money. So I want my clients to enjoy their money because that's the whole reason you saved it to begin with.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So again, these are some of the fuzzy math that, listen, you can't always rely on, but you want to make sure you're working with a professional that can help keep you on the right track. And taxes are another area of retirement that you have to make sure that you're paying attention to ahead of time. And most people think they're going to be in a lower tax bracket, Lee, because they're not going to be getting that paycheck every month from work and shouldn't be having as much income coming in. So they're not worried as much about taxes in retirement. Can you feel safe without having to worry about taxes, Lee?
Yeah, I don't think you can completely be safe for retirement unless you've put yourself into what we call tax bracket zero, where you truly don't have any money that is, tax deferred, or maybe you have just a little bit of money and you don't owe any federal taxes. But again, one of the statements that I say at my workshop is, after we're getting everybody's idea about taxes and where you think taxes are going to be in the future, I've still not met anybody other than somebody that just wanted to sort of rib me a little bit or play devil's advocate. Nobody really thinks taxes are going to go down in the future. Very few people think they're going to stay the same, despite, what may be going on in the world right now. Trump has extended the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, so those brackets are going to stay the same for a few more years. Some people are under the impression that these tax changes are permanent, and that there are some things that are classified as permanent, but
yeah.
Let me define the word permanent for you, Ben. For politicians, the word permanent means not permanent. It means it will change. As soon as somebody else gets in there, it's going to change. And we all believe that. But think about how we save money for retirement. We save money for retirement, put most of our money in tax deferred accounts, so that when we retire, we can pull it out because we're going to be in a lower tax bracket. And in the workshop, I will say that, and I'll say, and we're going to be in and I stop talking, and then everybody in the room says lower tax bracket. Because we've been told that our whole life. But the reality is, I would say probably 60% of the people that come in our office that we meet with, they are not going to be in a lower tax bracket. They may go down a little bit in the same bracket, but they're going to wind up in that same bracket. And so their effective rate could be a little bit less to begin with. But I'm telling you, once things like RMDs kick in, and most people don't understand that required minimum distributions that right now are happening at age 73, and in 10 years that number's going to 75. Those things they really wreak havoc on a tax return, and people don't take those into consideration, and you could wind up being in the exact same position on the tax bracket chart, and if they raise taxes in the future, you're going to pay more taxes. So that's why I think everybody should be worried about taxes. I don't care if you're still working or if you're retired. Taxes are still a big deal.
Yep. Again, while you go to the workshops as well to kind of learn more about these things and be prepared. But we'll finish with one more here, Lee, before we get out of here. But this deals with Social Security, another big area of retirement and retirement planning. But, some people think I'm going to wait, and it's definitely best to wait until I'm 70 so that I can get the biggest monthly amount possible. Now, the math works out in terms of, yes, you will get the biggest monthly amount, right? But does that necessarily mean it's best?
Right. Well, if you would have met 2016 Lee Perkins and come to one of my Social Security workshops, I led with, hey, let's do your Social Security optimization. We're going to maximize your Social Security. And so that is a math question. I can put it in there, and delaying your Social Security is going to get you a bigger amount. We run that thing out to to 90 years old, yes, you are going to get more money over your lifetime. But here's what I've come to realize in a big way. People don't live as long as they hope they're going to live. And people that do live long don't live the way that they hoped they could. Meaning, when you're 80, you can't do the things you did when you were 60. And so people that waited until age 70 to start their Social Security, in my experience, most of the people that are late 70s, early 80s, that Social Security check just goes directly into their bank at the end of the month, or the beginning of the month, and they don't do anything with it. And so the money just goes in there, they never use it. Because I've seen people pass away early, I would rather them, if it makes sense and if the numbers are there, I would rather see them take that money earlier to make a difference in their life in a period of time where they're healthy enough and able enough to do some of the things that they're not going to be able to do 15 or 20 years from now. It just makes sense. And so, like I'll tell you this, man, I met with somebody 2 or 3 days ago here in the office. His full retirement age in 8 months. So we did the math. I said, all right, do you know what your Social Security would be right now if you took it? The difference is $170 a month.
Okay.
And so I just basically took like the $3,300 that he would get if he waited until, I think it was April, took that and then took what he would get now, which is $170 more less, did the math. It's going to take him about 12 years before he breaks even. Then after that, the income is more. It doesn't make sense because just what he's going to be able to do at age 79 or 78, it's not the same because all years are not created equal. So I'm a big fan of you taking advantage of Social Security in a way that makes sense for you. And this is one of the things that people listen to their coworkers all the time, and they're like, oh, you should wait till this age, or you should take it earlier, you should take it late. Make sure you do what's best for you.
Yeah, it's all about what's best for you. And that's why you work with a financial advisor that builds a customized plan like the team at JL Perkins Wealth Management. It's not about what others are doing. It's about what your needs are and what works for someone else. Even someone else in your family even might not work for you. So you want to make sure that you sit down. You can get in touch with Lee anytime. Talkwithjlp.com. Also, learn more about the workshops at myretirementclarity.com. There'll be more coming up. And again, a great opportunity to learn more about some of these key retirement planning conversations that you need to be having. All right, Lee, thanks for clearing up the fuzzy math for us. Appreciate your time as always. Hope you have a good week.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. You too. Hey there, Lee Perkins here. If you're like a lot of folks, you've been listening to this podcast for a long time now. But I've got an important question for you. Have you implemented any of the ideas that we've discussed on the show? If you haven't, what are you waiting on? You know you're not getting any younger. So here's my challenge. Don't just consume the content. Our number one goal for this podcast is to help you close the gap between what you know and what you implement. So if you're ready to implement, take that first step today and visit www.talkwithjlp.com and schedule a 15-minute phone call with one of our advisors, and we'll help you close the gap between what you know and what you implement so you can enjoy the next phase of your life. Now is your time. Don't procrastinate any longer.
Investment advisory services are offered by JL Perkins Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor and insurance agency. Information is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute tax, legal, or investment advice. Always consult with a qualified tax, legal, or investment professional before taking any action.